You can start by accessing your main menu and going to Editor. Select Colorway and that will bring up your color editor. There, you can add additional color charts by selecting the plus sign in the upper right-hand corner. In this case, we'll add 2 more. We'll rename them and make the second one black and add a print to the third. We can start changing the colors by selecting the color chips in each row and adjusting them in the color editor. As you can see, we'll have to work our way down the line according to what we have in our object browser. Once we've got the neckband, we can move down to our top stitching to find something to contrast our black fabric a little bit better. I think white works here. Finally, we can even adjust the color of our custom label since we created the fabric here in CLO. One thing to keep in mind is that you will only see the color changes you're making in your 3D window and not your colorway editor until you select Update in the upper left-hand corner. Now, let's add a print to our third tee. First, select your main fabric in the colorway column. Then move into your property editor and select your import icon next to the texture editor to find our print. Let's quickly grab our logo to see what we can do with it. Open up your texture editor and you can go ahead and select that print. If you're not familiar with this tool, let's review some of the functions while we're in here. First, this arc allows you to rotate your imported image. You can zoom in and zoom out by clicking and dragging on the center arrow. And you can reposition your print by selecting and dragging it around on your main window. Finally, zoom in and out by dragging along the axis arrows. And if you know Photoshop, you have access to those same blend modes here in your drop-down menu. Once you think you've got what you're looking for, you can apply and close your texture editor, then update your screen. To create your line sheet, you can save image in the editor and select Colorway Editor in the pop-up menu. Save it in any of your folders as a PNG file. But to get a sense of your different options, let's also save it as a 3D window. This time, let's save it as a JPEG. Your snapshot window will open automatically with a preview of your 3 colorways. Since we have a graphic in the background of our 3D window, that's also included in our line sheet. But you can change the view count to include multiple views, and in the lower left, you can save each as a separate image. You select which colorways to save and how you want your pages to be laid out, side by side or vertical. Lastly, you have all your standard export criteria on the left, but the most important for us here is your dimensions if you'd like your images to be a specific size. A 300 resolution is the default, but if you will be printing these line sheets, you might want to consider going a little bit higher. At this point, we can save and your line sheet will be exported to your designated folder. Let's first go ahead and open our first export, the Colorway editor. If you open up the PNG file we saved earlier, what you'll see is an exact screenshot of the Colorway editor. I think I have an idea of what I want this line sheet to look like now, so let's jump back to the snapshot window and make a few adjustments. Let's start with the basics. 1 view count. Layout, we'll do side by side. I think I like the way 3 looked better, so let's go with that. Now, let's adjust the height and bring that down to 4,000. And see if we prefer portrait or landscape in this case. All right, portrait it is. I think we're ready to save one last time. If we go into our folders here, we can see that we now definitely have what looks like a standard line sheet. The first 3 pages are from our first vertical save, and the last page is the complete side-by-side of all 3 shirts in 3 views. Standard line sheet images that you can always import into other software to customize.